Hi, HRN listeners. We're celebrating our 15th anniversary, and we have a really fun campaign and an ask for you. This 15th anniversary tour is aiming to bring you closer to unique food and music experiences in some of the most exciting cities in America. All the while, we're raising funds to support our work empowering the next generation of food systems storytellers through our fellowship programs. Here's how it works. Donate to HRN and be entered into a raffle in the city of your choice to win a dinner for two at a noteworthy restaurant and tickets for two to a concert at a prominent local venue. We have incredible partners in New York, Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Nashville, Las Vegas, Charleston, Asheville, and Ardmore, Pennsylvania, who have donated a meal for two and two tickets to a concert of the winner's choice. And all donations help fund our fellowship programs, where we're helping to build essential workforce readiness skills and food system storytelling skills. Check out heritageradionetwork.org/15 to donate and enter to win today. That's heritageradionetwork.org/15. Thank you.
This program is made possible thanks to the generosity of our listeners. Show your support at heritageradionetwork.org/donate.
This week on Meat and Three, we're talking about comfort food as we explore its history, meaning, and different interpretations from around the world.
Donburi is just a simple, casual dish, but it's packed with the history.
Somebody might have their comfort food be something that they remember eating at their friend's house, but they would never have at their own home. Consuming foods that were eaten then can bring back some of those feelings from those times.
It's about creating these little breaks and moments during the day where you kind of feel present.
Tune in to Meat and Three, HRN's weekly food news roundup, wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hey, welcome to Beer Sessions Radio on the Heritage Radio Network. We're recording remotely. Today is Tuesday, November 10th, 2020. This summer, in response to COVID, our friends at Food Karma NYC and myself, we put together with great friends like the Smoke Sheet and New York City Barbecue Weekly newsletters and the Taste of Brooklyn, Taste of the Bronx, and Slow Money NYC and a few other friends, an interesting international sauce competition, Sauce King NYC. Most of our events were canceled and there wasn't too much going on in New York City besides outside dining and delivery. But Sauce King NYC was our chance to engage with a lot of new brands and learn more about food and consumer products, and also the intersection with beer as well, and beer and barbecue. So some of the key people from that event have joined us. We're going to go around the room and everyone's going to introduce themselves. We'll start with the Sauce King NYC 2020 Grand Champion himself, Mr. Ray Sheehan of Barbecue Buddha. Ray, how are you, brother?
Hey, I'm great. Thank you for having me.
So you've got a great backstory that we're going to dive into, but for starters, just tell everybody when you started making your Barbecue Buddha sauce, some of the inspirations, and what's the secret ingredient in Memphis Mop that won the Sauce King NYC?
Well, I think Memphis has been a great inspiration for me, and I love the fact that a Memphis style sauce is basically, it has a lot of flavor, but it doesn't have too much of any one thing. And I like to say, like with our sauce, it leaves you wanting more with that little bit of spice on the end of your palate. And the secret ingredient for us has been basically using natural ingredients. We don't use any high fructose corn syrup. There's no artificial colors, flavors, preservatives in any of our products. And I think that's been the winning recipe for us.
That's great. You really impressed everyone, and we're looking forward to talking to you more about this today. Next, the guys from Kansas City. Brad, will you introduce yourself?
Yeah, hey, man. Thanks for having me on. This is Brad Jungles. I'm with Rufus Teague Barbecue out of KC.
You guys also, you're one of these top up-and-coming national sauce brands. You really impress us with quite a wide range of sauces. How did you guys start making sauces? What's the quick backstory on Rufus Teague?
So a good buddy of mine back in 2004, we both had advertising jobs. He just started doing that backyard barbecue thing, and before you know it, he's doing competitions. He's winning. He's starting to make some pretty good meats, and next thing you know, he started making sauce, and that sauce is really what actually put him over the edge. He started winning even more. The sauce started winning, all the sauce competitions he was putting it into, and 4 years ago, this thing became a full-time gig for both of us, even though we've been working on it since 2004. But yeah, John McCone, he's the guy.
Yeah, I
And
know that our judges recognize your touch of heat. We call it the Holy Trinity because it had a lot going on. But what's this? What's your number one sauce?
So the number one is still the original, which is our honey sweet. But I will say the touch of heat's right behind it. Still my favorite. I've eaten thousands of gallons of that over the years. But yeah, still putting it down. And like Ray, we try to. We're a small company, family business, and try to be as clean of a product as we possibly can. Everything's non-GMO verified. Everything's gluten free, and no preservatives or anything like that. All natural.
No, we had 9 judges, and I'll have to tell you, the top 10 or so is really close. There's so many really good sauces. Thank you so much. And Fubs at Just Add Beer Sauce, give us a quick intro into your company because you are a food marketing guru.
No, I'm just a guy from Queens. How you guys doing? I'm Fubs, founder of Just That Beer Sauce and Marinade Mix. We're kind of we're the outlier here. We're more or less like if something doesn't exist, put it in the world, and that's kind of been the story since I had this idea. I come from a whole different realm of the universe of like a cultural background. I travel the country and the world selling clothing and doing brand marketing and managing artists and such. And I was a photographer for a long time. And we came to an idea that was while consulting about a beer marinade. And I was like, why does this exist, this beer sauce concept? And it didn't. And I couldn't even believe it. And I called a friend of mine who at the time was, he's been a chef. He was at Nobu for years. He's a good old friend of mine. And he was like, that's a genius idea. So he started working on it. And before you know it, we had launched a sauce company a couple years back. And so that kind of he helped me develop it, and I've been running with it since. And that's kind of like the base of it, and learning the game. You guys as all well know, and of course, clean ingredients, never not. We're different ingredients. We put a lot of umami rich stuff in our sauce, like kombu instead of water. And it builds different stuff when you add different beers to it. So we've seen that without those key ingredients, everything's just salt and sugar. And people want you to make that, but that's not where the magic lies.
That's great. We're going to talk a lot about that today. And then just for another perspective, one of our Sauce King NYC judges, Alyssa.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Alyssa, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Alyssa. I'm with Totally Forked. It's my blog. I'm a food writer, food blogger, and now a New York City Sauce King judge.
That's great. So it was really great having you. We had 9 judges. Again, with the pandemic, some like you judged remotely, and others judged in small groups. What were a couple of things that stood out? Because you kind of had some of the top 10 barbecue sauces come your way.
Right. So definitely, obviously the first thing you look at is the packaging. It's the first thing to kind of attract you. There was definitely some great labeling. I admired that. As for the flavors, there was definitely a lot of sweet, like, sauces on the little bit of the sweeter side. There wasn't too much spicy. And if it was, it had like a little bit of a kick, which I'm not that big on spicy, so I appreciated that. But even so, there were some really great sauces that did have more of a kick. Like Rufus Teague's. Buddha Memphis Soul obviously was one of the ones that were sweeter, and I really liked the flavor of it. And like someone mentioned before, there was a lot of like umami flavors in some of the sauces, and it was really great trying them all next to each other and kind of seeing the differences between them.
Yeah, and so you also do restaurant reviews. What are some gigs that someone like you could be hired for in the food world?
Primarily, I do social media and marketing. So I try to help restaurants promote new menu items, promote the restaurant, try to get people in the door. So that's primarily what I do. I'm also a food writer, and I am starting to write for some local publications here in Delaware, and also the blogging, but primarily social media is what I'm known for.
Yeah. Well, it was really a pleasure getting to know you better through this. And now we're going to go back to Ray. So, Ray, it's barbecue Buddha is your sauce. You sent me one photo of the beer can chicken. Tell us about your barbecue sauce book because I've enjoyed it, and that's also winning awards. So you've got an award winning sauce, you've got an award winning book, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, like Rufus Teague, we are a family-run business, and I started this about almost 6 years ago in Neptune, New Jersey. And I've always been in the food world, whether it was starting as a dishwasher, working my way up to being a chef, and I've always wanted to write a cookbook. It's kind of I've fulfilled a dream by doing it. And basically, that came about because we won so many awards for our sauces, particularly the Memphis. The book features the recipe for my Memphis barbecue sauce, as well as our Kansas City, and then 8 other sauces that have helped me win sauce competitions or cooking and grilling competitions. So it features 10 sauces and then 50 ways to use them, whether you're grilling, smoking, outdoor cooking. And it runs the gamut from, Memphis to an Asian style. And you talk about that umami flavor. We feature black garlic in the Asian barbecue sauce, which really brings a world of umami flavor to the sauce. Naturally, without any artificial flavor enhancers. And so, fortunately, we entered the book into a competition. I said, well, you never know. Let's see what happens. And we entered the International Book Awards, and I was like so shocked, I couldn't believe it. But we won first place for the cookbook. It really has a lot to offer. There's great rubs. There's, amazing sauces. If I have to say so myself. But there's rubs, there's brines, there's so many ways to keep your food tender and moist as you're cooking, and some pitmaster secrets in there. It's really for the experienced person or the beginner person because it's basically trying to enhance your outdoor cooking experience.
So one of the photos that we posted today, the beer can chicken. Tell us how you make it and tell us about the beer that you use. Why put a can in a chicken anyways?
So originally, I think this was called chicken on a throne. So that can actually serves a couple purposes, and one of them is to help it to stand up. So this way you can get a nice crust on the skin all the way around as you're cooking it. The beer that I used for the book and for what I use frequently at home is from Asbury Park Brewery in Asbury Park, New Jersey. This one is featuring the Stone Pony beer to commemorate their 45th anniversary. The Stone Pony is an iconic music club, I think, where Bruce Springsteen got his start on the Jersey Shore. And so I was, grew up in that area, and I like to support local business, and they make a great beer. So any one of their beers I think are great. I particularly love the Stone Pony 45 or the Blonde. They're like a light bodied type of beer, and they're have a European style lager with Czech and German hops. They pair really well with my Memphis because the Memphis is sweet and tangy and has a lot of flavor, and they tend to complement that profile. Basically, you drink half the beer, you put some herbs in it, some garlic in the can of beer, put the can in the cavity of the bird, and then smoke it. Or you can do it on the grill like offset, and you get a nice crust on the outside. It keeps the inside nice and moist, and it's kind of just one of those things. It's like on a Sunday afternoon, I'll put a couple out on the smoker, a couple chickens, and I'm good to go. It's my barbecue meal prep. You
Do you
know?
do you try to catch the drippings from the chicken? Is there a way to do
Um,
that when you have a grill or a smoker?
sure, you can put a pan underneath it if underneath the grate, underneath the cooking grate. Depends on what kind of cooker you have, but sure, you can do that. Yep.
That's great. And now let's go to Brad and Rufus Teague. One reason we invited you to the show is that you're making a sauce that's made with beer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's funny. We came up with this idea, of course, sitting outside at a Royals game, having a couple of beers and trying to figure out what our next products would be. We have a lot of good products that we feel really great about, but innovation is one of the things that we just really get off on. We love or just barbecue in general. We love beer in general, and so we just sat there thinking, we're like, okay, we want something that's kind of tailgate specific. Beer and barbecue makes as much sense as anything. Um, so we've seen a little bit of that out there. We actually have a whiskey sauce, but we thought, okay, a beer sauce would be great too. But I've seen a little bit of that in a bottle. So we just decided we want to put it in a can. We want to work with, we start working at least with Boulevard Brewery out of Kansas City, which is the big brand around us, and reached out to them. They were all into it. And then we set off on this journey to try to figure out how to put it in a can. And shame on us. We had no idea how hard that was going to be. So it was only about a year and a half it took for us to figure out how to actually do that after being told by virtually everybody we came in contact with within the brewing world. And, with the machinery and canning, the cans themselves, that it was just not going to be possible. But we
So
kept
wait,
after
so
it.
it's what's the name of this sauce?
It's Cano Q. So yeah, so we've had an unfiltered wheat. It's called Cano Q. It's kind of the overarching brand for all of the cans. We It's literally barbecue sauce made with about 25% beer in a beer can, an actual beer can, just like you would crack it open. And we have a little reclosable lid, little snap-on lid that we put on top of it. So not many people drink 12 ounces of sauce at a time. So we want to make sure you can keep the rest. And we made the first batch with Boulevard unfiltered wheat, which was really fantastic. It it was really received well. We sold it only basically around Kansas City. We made 2,000 cases after we figured out how to actually get the I think the 6 different rounds of formulating it before we could get ball canning to approve it was probably the most difficult part. But we
So what
created
was the
2,000.
issue? Was it the consistency?
No, it's just to make sure that the aluminum is not going to be compromised in any way, or that the there's a liner inside the cans, and so we had to make sure that would still be stable, and we just wanted to make sure that the can wouldn't degrade over time, and they won't actually sell you cans until, I think most brewers probably know this, but they won't actually sell you the cans until they've actually signed off on it. So it took us quite a few times of kind of reformulating, and like I said, we've got about 25% beer in each can, and I think that actually helped us out a lot because it thins it just enough that it pours really nicely, and we couldn't be happier. We couldn't be happier with how it turned out.
Yeah, that's an issue for me. Is some of the sauces that come out of the bottles are sometimes too thick, or you just don't quite know what the consistency is going to be. So on that note, what would you cook with the can of Q? Like what's a good recipe or way to serve it?
Well, we just use it as a traditional barbecue sauce. Most of ours are, like you said, very thick, and we get complaints because we sometimes get a little clogged in the bottle because they're so thick. With this, we just think it's fantastic on chicken. It's a great dipping sauce. It is, really. We've made some fantastic ribs and brisket, and just it's a great one to kind of mix, especially if you do like a pork butt or something where you shred it. It really does mix in there well, and it just has, it's a really good flavor, but there's still some earthiness to it. We wanted to make sure that the beer shined through, and I think we accomplished that with the first one, and we're actually excited. It's going to be spring of next year. We're actually going to be doing a bigger run, and we'll be using 2 other different flavors outside of the unfiltered wheat that Boulevard offers, and are tailoring those 3 flavors around the beer. So we really use the beer and try to accentuate the flavors that are within each of those unique beers and make them, kind of live on their own. So,
Brad, can you tell us what those other Boulevard beers will be?
yeah, sure. So unfiltered wheat, like I said, was the original. It has some citrusy hints, kind of plays into that wheat space. There is a little earthiness on the back end of it. Space Camper IPA is another big beer for Boulevard. IPAs are a little tricky. They do have, that bitterness that the hops bring through. So we kind of made this one into kind of a fruity, citrusy version that is more peppery and a little bit more spicy. So it mellows that bitterness a bit. But again, I think there's still a lot of those real flavors that you find in the IPA. And then the last is Tank 7, which is one of my favorite all-time beers. And it's kind of a complex beer. It's a farmhouse ale, if you guys are familiar with it. Lots of aromatic spice notes and things like that to play off of. So we really push the cloves and the pepper that come through so well in that. It's a really interesting sauce. So good. Unfortunately, we've only had, our samples that we've been able to make. We're still trying to, we just got it approved. So this all should be coming out first of next year, actually probably around March, because cans, as everybody knows, are in short supply. So we're kind of at the bottom of the list when it comes to, getting cans produced. So we're looking forward to it. But the Tank 7, Space Camper, and Unfiltered Wheat are the versions we're coming out with.
One more in the can revolution. We're looking forward to that. And let's go to Fubs. So Fubs, Just That Beer. So tell us what beers you use and how I can use them with your sauce.
Well, you see, our sauces, we range into the barbecue world with beer, but we also step out of it, and we tend to really dig into the kitchen, into that culinary side of it. That's not necessarily, always grilling and making kind of barbecue. We do a Szechuan black vinegar sauce that I mix with like for your events, Jimmy. I mix it with an other half Miss Fruits, which is like a sour. They do this crazy lime coconut sour ale, and then we make a beet salad with it, like a cold beet salad. And we've given it out at Castellet.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Yeah.
And so we touch on that, and that's one of the things I do. In the miso, we love to use it and broil salmon with it in house and mix it with. Right now, I'm working with different hazy IPAs really go with it, as well as dark stouts and porters and things like that. So it matches, and so we've done. Recently, I actually used the Black Widow cider they make it at Original Sin, and I jumped into the cider realm with it, and with the miso and that on salmon, it becomes this unbelievable like just crust almost, not crust, but it's perfect. It's how it goes. So we touch on both realms because we can, of course, any sauce made like that, you can throw beer into it, and for us, like you said, we barbecue, we marinate, so we put a big hunk of meat and then smoke it for 15 hours or whatever, and it becomes this crazy different thing with the beer.
Well, so you kill it on Instagram, but just walk me through this. So the miso broiled salmon. Just give me a few steps. You've got the Japanese miso.
So our sauce breaks down into 3 or 4 different ways to use it, and it comes down in a ratio. So a 2-to-1 is a sauce, or what I'll put it is 2-to-1 sauce to beer, and then I'll mix it up, and I'll let salmon sit in that, and then right after it's done, whatever's left, I'll brush on the salmon as it's broiling, and so I'll flip it a couple times, maybe put it in the broiler for maybe 8 minutes total, 7 minutes total, kind of thing. A minute on each side, flip it a couple times, 2 minutes aside, brush it each time, and it's perfect. It becomes the simplest, most delicious salmon that anybody that can't cook can cook.
Great.
So
And what about with the beets?
So the beets, that was a Szechuan. With our Szechuan black vinegar, we use a lot of Szechuan peppercorn. We use black vinegar. We use there's some soy in it, 5 spice, some shallots, and it has that the Chinese call it mao plau, that numb feeling. And we worked real hard on getting as much Szechuan peppercorn into a sauce without breaking the bank, so to speak. And that changes every day depending on how it's going in the market. But is so that is a different thing. And with the beets are sweet. So we mix it in with what I mix it in with is with the mixed fruits. A very fruity sours kill with our Szechuan, and lamb goes with it. Like those two things and lamb go together like unbelievably. But with the beets, we mixed it up with beets. I don't even remember what was in the beet salad, to be honest with you. All the pieces. There was a very few things in it, and that was our sauce for it. That was our quick dressing. And it was a 2-to-1 again.
But do you heat, when you mix the beer with that sauce for something like that? Do you heat it first?
No, we don't heat it at all.
Prepare it?
We do it cold. Like honestly, I did it cold. I actually put a little extra vinegar into it just to cut it and make a vinaigrette out of it. So we turn it into a vinaigrette. It has that ability to be this magic Swiss Army knife, so to speak. So a little vinaigrette, our sauce, and some beer, mixed it up cold. We don't need to cook it at that point, and wisp it up, and you put it on your. I mean, of course, you roast your beets, but that's not cold. It goes without saying. But you roast the beets that are cooled already, and you're good. It's let it sit, of course. Good. Give it an hour to do its thing, and you're good.
All right, and let's go to Alyssa. Trying to get everyone in a good intro. Alyssa, when you were judging, I remember one thing that you noticed that most other judges didn't talk about was the pourability. And since we're talking about some sauces with beer in them or thinner, do you want to talk a little more about that judging process? And I remember pourability was a big thing you talked about.
Yes, definitely, because that, I guess, kind of decides what you're going to use it for sometimes. Some of the thicker ones, I tend to like thicker barbecue sauces, just because I feel like you can do a little bit more with it. You can use it for dipping, glazing. So Just Add Beer was a good one for that. But when it comes to more pourable ones, I remember Five Monkeys was very, it had like the squirt bottle. You just kind of like squirt everywhere. And what else?
So you liked it? You liked the squirt bottle?
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I think I liked it because it's convenient to use. It's easy. But at the same time, the presentation, there's something about just like that kind of like open barbecue sauce bottle that feels more authentic almost.
So do you like a wider mouth? Is something like that?
Yeah, I tend to prefer the wider mouth, but the squirt container was very easy to use, so I can't knock it. Some of the more pourable ones, I'm trying to remember. I know Polly G's was pretty pourable. Marie Sharp's was very very liquid based. That was an interesting one also.
Yeah, that was the seasonal. That won one of the top prizes as well. That was kind of a marinade and very vinegary.
Right. It was interesting. I didn't like it when I first tried it, to be honest. It felt a little, because I had just tried all the other barbecue sauces, and most of them had some semblance of sweetness to it, and like the umami flavors and all that. But when I tried the seasonal one by Mary Sharp's, it was just so vinegary in comparison. But then as I let it sit on my tongue and I kept thinking about it and I started using it, I was like, this is very interesting. You could use it for a lot of different things. I made some Bloody Marys with it, which is great.
Oh, you did? Yeah, and some of the sauces are really meant to be cooked with, and while others you can just add on top. Well, guys, we're off to a good start. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back in a few minutes on Beer Sessions Radio. All right.
All of us at HRN have been keeping busy, despite working and recording from home. This fall, we're proud to announce new shows on the network that each bring important and enlightening stories to listeners around the world. While the world is in turmoil and the future of our country is uncertain, there are certain constants that help keep us going. For us, food and storytelling are essential. While we can't come together in person, food podcasts from HRN provide a virtual table we can all gather around. Bringing exceptional stories to your ears and keeping you informed on the ever-changing political and environmental issues of our time is integral to our mission. At a time when the world around us is rapidly changing, HRN is committed to being here for our listening community, and we need you to be here for us. Join our table and help ensure the future of food radio by becoming a member of HRN. Go to heritageradionetwork.org/donate to make a contribution. Check out the latest additions to our lineup while you're there. You can see all of our series at heritageradionetwork.org/new show.
Hey, welcome back to Beer Sessions Radio on the Heritage Radio Network. I'm Jimmy Carboni, the host of Beer Sessions Radio. It's a good time to become a member. Join us at heritageradionetwork.org. So we're talking with some of the Sauce King NYC winners and talking about beer and barbecue. So I want to go back to Ray Sheehan, the Sauce King NYC Grand Champion of Barbecue Buddha. Ray, you're the sauce that won is the Memphis Mock. Tell us the difference between Memphis sauces and Kansas City sauces, because I know you guys are really in the American barbecue world.
Oh yeah, I feel like the Memphis is like a sweet and tangy style sauce. Like I said before, it's not heavy on any one thing. It's very well balanced. And when you get into like the Kansas City barbecue sauces, and within regions of barbecue, there's even variances in that region. So, like in my book, Award-Winning Barbecue Sauces and How to Use Them, I have my Kansas City barbecue sauce recipe. But that's not the only barbecue Kansas City style sauce recipe out there. Mine is like more of a sweet and smoky style sauce. But a lot of them are sweet, a little bit thicker, a little bit richer, and do have a little kick at the end, where mine doesn't necessarily have that. But so, you have a little bit thicker, a little bit richer, a little bit sweeter, I think, in Kansas City with a little bit of a kind of a peppery kick at the end. That's the way I would say it.
Yeah. And Brad, how would you describe the difference between Kansas City style sauces and Memphis? It seems like are you guys squarely in the Kansas City style barbecue sauce camp?
I would say yes, we are. I mean, that's certainly our foundation and the foundation of almost all our products. We did just come out with one that is more of a Carolina mustard type sauce, but even with that one, we pushed it more into the Kansas City realm where we did make it a bit sweeter. We and that smokiness. We even threw a little bacon in there just to kind of make it true Kansas City. But yeah, it's the same. I think Ray kind of nailed it. It's they are a tomato base. Kansas City, typically a tomato based sauce, and does have a lot of sweetness, molasses, and smoke. So that's really kind of the foundation. I mean, obviously, there's a lot of different variances when you talk about the spices that are in there. We have a wide variety of heat from, the honey sweet really doesn't have any kick whatsoever, but we have a blazing hot that is actually quite hot. So we've kind of, sort of pushed it in different angles and tried to add, some interesting variations to what is typically a Kansas City sort of traditional sauce.
You mentioned your affiliation with Kansas City, and in this last decade, you've had some, winning sports teams. What does it take to get sports team branding? Like, say you want to do a Kansas City Chiefs sauce or a Royals sauce. Is that something down the road, or just walk our listeners through like what it would take to achieve that, if you've ever considered it?
We've considered it. I think the number one thing it takes is a lot of money. So we, as any sponsorship, especially with a major league team, there's really quite a lot to do. I handle the marketing for Rufus. So it's something that we aren't quite there yet. I can tell you that. But the Cano-Q, I will say that we came out with two different versions last year. One was right at the beginning of baseball season, which was a blue can. And then we re-released it in a red can in August just happened to coincide with the timing of NFL season. And the Chiefs went on to win the Super Bowl. So I'm not saying that was wholly dedicated and wholly because of our Cano-Q, but it certainly, made me feel better every time that we cracked one.
And so you're using smart marketing. You've got the colors of your team, and you can work them in. It kind of gives a little local pride, doesn't it?
Yeah, we did that last year. Again, we weren't sure if this product was going to be really viable. It was kind of a test. We feel like we've since proved out, the proof of concept is certainly there. So now what we're going to be doing for this next round, you'll see next year, we are playing much more off of the actual beer cans that the Boulevard offers. So before we had a grill on the front of it. It was a red can. It said CanQ really large and had a grill on it. Now, obviously, we have to call out barbecue sauce. There is one, little stipulation with the CanQ, and that's that we need to make sure that we set it apart from a beer, because like I said, it's a beer can. The cap helps, but it definitely has to say barbecue sauce quite large on it. So we do have that, and that will be pretty apparent on all those different designs.
Yeah, probably would change your taxes too, right? Tax as
Yeah.
beer and under 21 is not allowed. Yeah, that's interesting about the colors. I know that Brooklyn Brewery for a long time they wouldn't call it a Yankees Pilsner, but they got away with calling it Pinstripe Pils. So it's kind of interesting, the connection with sports marketing. Fubs, on your end, tell us more about some of the different beers that you've worked with, because you sent me a whole list of beers you've used at our events.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've since we started, part of it was really to dig deep and especially local, and for a while we had people out in LA working with us, so we had a lot of local LA stuff. But it was really to dig deep about local people we work with, especially when we do events with you, Jimmy, because we want to show up with those things. Like we've worked with Big Alice, their Queensbridge IPA. Really, there's something about it. I don't know what they put in it. It is phenomenal, and it goes. I mean, I know what they put in it, but I'm just saying that it is the way they brew that pairs perfectly with our miso. We made stew chickpeas for you, actually, for a vegan live event a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
So, and then we also do like a range of. We just did Tecate, and with Tecate we just made micheladas, which went over really well at the Pizzol Fest. So it's like we also go into just making drinks with it, like turning it into a straight up michelada mix. And some of the chefs from like some of the better restaurants were like, "What is this?" They were like, "This is better than what we make. What is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this is just our sauce." And he was like, "Are you serious?" And it's like, "It's a Mexican sauce." He's like, "This is good because." And they said, "What's in it?" And I said, "Epozate." And he said, "That's it. Like it's a certain flavor that we've put in that really gives it an authentic kind of touch that is a special thing they put in micheladas." So we've done it. It becomes this transformer, so to speak, and changes direction anytime you want to use it into a different realm. So and that's why we go on.
Yeah, you're doing a great job, on Instagram. I know you've got a lot of. You really know how to push your brand. And you come to events whenever we need you. But how do you sell your product?
We do wholesale. We do a lot of personal. I went on the road for 6-8 months for when we started here and there, and went to door to door. Straight up went to butchers and beer stores and all that to really figure out where we fit in, because we didn't come from the universe of it to get our footing, and had distributor meetings and found our blessings and our sins are the same thing usually. Like, oh, it's great, you add beer to it. Wait, they add beer to it. Very confused by it sometimes. And so we do that. We have a bunch of e-com. We do direct. And we're in the process of trying to expand into all those things, Yeah,
that's great. What about for you, Ray? What are your sales channels right now?
Well, I have to say we started an online store back in December, which has been a lifesaver because of COVID and everything. I spent, in the beginning when, of starting this company, I was doing it like on the side, apart from my regular job. And, so our main thing was just trying to get it into stores. But a really important sales channel for us has been the farmers markets and doing vendor craft shows, those types of events. Basically any festivals that we could do, direct sales. What I found is that you really need a combination of all these things. You need your wholesale, you need your festival, you need your online. You need that that online for the word of mouth. And you need to partner and do giveaways. And there's so many things that you have to have your hands in order to spread the word and spread the barbecue love out there and get your name out there.
So you're kind of your lead product is the Memphis Mop sauce. I know you
Yes.
have a couple others. Tell us about your new hot sauce.
Oh man, I wish I had it in time for Sauce King, but hopefully for next year we could do it. It's called Mantra, and it's basically like adding flavor to your every meal is our daily mantra. It's an everyday use type of hot sauce. It's a cayenne red pepper sauce with notes of garlic and spice, and it's not like so hot that it's going to ruin your day, but it's going to complement your meals, your pizza, your burgers, your eggs. It's kind of like barbecue inspired. I call it, and it's really really delicious. So next year for Sauce King, I can't wait to enter that one.
Oh, that's great. And then with your book, just remind us the name of the book again, and then I'm going to ask you to pick a recipe from it that you would pair with a beer.
Okay. The name of the book is Award-Winning Barbecue Sauces and How to Use Them. The secret ingredient to next level smoking. If you can get your hands on like a ale like a stout that has notes of chocolate and coffee, I would definitely pair that with um, my smoked beef back ribs that are in the book. Um, because I feel like the coffee and the chocolate would pair really well with the beef. Let me see. The recipe is sweet and spicy beef back ribs on page 86, and that's probably the one I would go with to pair it with.
Wow. I'm going to ask Fubs. Fubs, in the New York market, can you think of a coffee stout that you might pick for that?
Yeah, actually, there's two. I don't know if you actually consider it New York, but I think the McKellar, um, well, the Decadent Brewing Maple Coffee Porter is amazing. Is a really special thing, and I think they're local. I think they're local upstate. Um, and the McKellar beer geek brunch, whatever it's called. I think that's what it's
Yeah,
called.
Beer
Is
Geek Brunch Stouts. Yeah.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. Those two things are really a special sweetness to it. And in LA, we have this horchata stout that they make, that Pacific Plate makes. That's crazy with like a pairing of any kind of barbecue sauce,
Wow.
because it's horchata, so it's like this weird sweet stout, but it's amazing. It's different. It's very LA.
Let me go back to Alyssa. For you've reviewed some restaurants and used some social media. Have you participated in any beer and food pairings before?
I'm trying to think. I definitely have. At least a few a long time ago. I can't remember too much of the specifics. Um, shoot. I know there was one in Brooklyn in the Navy Yard, the Brooklyn Navy Yard. I'm trying to remember what the name was.
Yeah, but would you go to one? Is that of interest to you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So what would you want to see at a beer and food dinner? Like what would draw you to it?
You obviously barbecue. So like the way Pig Island did it, I think was great. I like the fact that you had it wasn't just beer; it was all kinds of alcohol, but primarily beer. It seemed um, paired with like the different barbecue sauces and the barbecue foods. It goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that.
And I bet I don't know if do you have a question for Brad at Rufus Teague? I bet you do.
Yeah, I do. So that sauce, the one that we tried for the sauce competition, um, that,
Touch
that
of
was so
heat. Touch of heat, I think.
yeah, touch of heat. What are some recipes that you would normally, prefer to use that with in terms of, grilling or anything?
So, I really do feel like with the Kansas City, like a good Kansas City style sauce, it really can go across the board. Again, that's one of our go-tos whenever we make a brisket. Briskets take so long to make. You really put a lot of effort into them. So that is always, it's got just enough heat, we feel like, to cut through that sort of real thick, beefy flavor that a brisket will provide. And I think it just works so perfectly with that. So to me, that is the perfect brisket sauce. I know that, when you get down in Texas, they don't really like sauce that much. But I can promise you that everybody that I know from Texas, when they come up here, or even when I'm visiting them, touch of heat is usually a part of that brisket experience. So that would be my recommendation there.
I
That's a
could
good,
definitely see that
yeah,
in my
that's a
answer.
good question. Alyssa, you posted a nice picture of yourself holding some beer. What were the beers that you were holding?
That was so. There's a brewery called Lone Pine, and they just started selling their beer here in Delaware. So I have the Brightside IPA and the OJ, which is a citrus flavored IPA.
So you're usually in Brooklyn, but because of COVID, you're down in Delaware, right?
Right, that's correct.
Yeah. There's a really good hot sauce place in Rehoboth. Do you know about it?
I
Um,
haven't been down to Rehoboth much because I'm a New York City girl and I've never driven a day in my life. So getting around Delaware has been challenging, and that's a little far from me. But I would like to explore that area. There's a lot of good restaurants, from what I hear.
yeah. No, it's quite a good scene. One thing I'll say about the Sauce King is just to see a glimpse into the variety of sauces and products that people are making. Um, I wondered, Fubs, when you got into this business, were there any inspirations out there? I mean, you know, somebody's got a favorite sauce, or was there experience? Because when I first met you, it was a couple years ago. You were at a bar on the Lower East Side. You had hired a chef, and he was serving chicken for free with your sauce. So I was like, I got to work with this guy because that's called show business.
Well, I have my friend owned the bar that I go back 1.5 years with. He owns like all kinds of nightclubs, and I was like, I'm launching a sauce brand, and he said, let's do a wing flight. I said, I'm in, so we'll do a wing beer pairing flight situation, 3 beers, 3 wings. We'll give some food out. We'll invite some people and do it in a small enough place that we don't have like police show up because of overcrowding and whatnot, and just see what happens. And we did it. And it was sometimes you gotta showboat, right? Like you
It
gotta.
was the most civilized thing. And every time you come to an event, you always impress me with your choice of beer or cider. Tell me about Chef Jesse Ferguson at Interborough, because I know he was in the music scene too.
He was. I know Jesse. He was a manager of a really really influential record label. He was the label manager for it, and I used to own a art and design, graffiti, etc. cultural magazine, and we go back to that moment. And so when this started, I was like, oh, Jesse runs Interborough. And so we got together a couple times. I've done a Super Bowl wing situation there. A couple years ago, we did a wing special, a Szechuan wing special. And I've used Max and Relax is one of my favorite sours he makes. I don't know if he makes it anymore. I know he did it for a while. I'm not sure if he's still making that one. And his Pilsner is just straight up. It might be one of the closest things to Roundhouse I know out here. It's right there, so it's right up the alley. But so we come from a different universe, but part of us is that we bring that to this world, right? Is that we know how to kind of wave a flag, so to speak. But some of my influences, which is where this started, really was other than where I come from. In terms of sauce, Rufus Teague was an influence when we started really digging into it, because I cook. And I've always made stuff, and my friend's a chef, so I always have sauce in the fridge. When we started really digging into making a sauce and really seeing what was out there, the Rufus Teague is one of these dudes are doing it, which is very interesting, because this was maybe when I started thinking about it, I don't know, 3-4 years ago, something like that, when I actually started thinking about it. And so it was just the range of sauce in general. Like, there's so much food out there, especially being from Queens. I've tasted all kinds of stuff from strange family members, friends, brothers, uncles, etc. Like, I get miso in the mail from people, like, oh, my grandmother made this, things like that. So all that is an influence. And to bring something new in terms of my chef buddy really knew his flavor depth and this stuff he wanted to shine in different, like we did one Mexican flavor, and with the stuff he wanted to bring out to that meshes with beer, and the same with the Japanese miso and just certain things that it was to expand the concept of sauce, I guess. And with the beer, every time you come out, it's different. As everybody knows here that has used their beer, it's like changes the sauce and it makes it unique each time.
Well, that's what I was thinking about is because like I'm drinking right now from our friends in Georgia, Good Word Brewing. The drink time, it's a Marzen lager. That's like the original Oktoberfest. Is like an amber lager, but it's got just enough maltiness to it that I was thinking that would be something great with, the beer can chicken. But honestly, I'll cook with hoppy IPAs. I'll cook with stouts, just like with different types of wine. I feel like cooking with beer definitely has a place, and you don't have to. I don't think you have to use something like neutral, like a Corona or Tecate. I think that there's a lot of. I think people are afraid to cook with beer. I don't think they realize there's a lot of complex flavors there, right?
Oh, it's full. Like the complexity of beer right now is outrageous. Like especially when you go into like the sours, like the dry hop sours versus the fruit sours, and what you can do with them is it's unspeakable. Like we were talking about that beet salad, and you can taste that
That was crazy good, man. That was
like we talked
good.
about it because it was like it's a beet salad. Like, are we really talking about beet salad with a bunch of barbecue guys? Yeah, we're going to talk about it. Because why? Because and my sauce is great, and the Szechuan's amazing, but the other half beer is what made that salad so successful. Without it would just be sauce. It's like kind of like not to step on our own stuff, but it's what changes the direction of things. And like what you're drinking right now, you could probably put it with our miso or our Szechuan, and it would do really, really nice stuff.
Yeah. And quick to Ray. Ray, in your book, do you have a vegetable recipe? And what sauce do you use with that vegetable?
I do have a grilled crudité in the Alabama white sauce chapter, and we use that sauce on smoked chicken halves, and we use it for a creamy white barbecue slaw or barbecue pasta salad. But it's really great, just on grilled vegetables, and or on a chicken. I do like a kind of like a Nashville hot chicken sandwich with the Alabama white barbecue sauce on it. Really good.
And what is the white sauce? So you don't bottle the white sauce, do you?
No, I don't have it bottled yet, but that's definitely something that could be in the works. But basically, the white barbecue sauce, is like mayonnaise, cider vinegar, apple juice, a little mustard, horseradish, lemon juice, a little black pepper, a little cayenne, and it really is even though it's mayonnaise based, you're going to use it like kind of in the way that you would use any other barbecue sauce at the end, like as kind of as a finish. So you're going to dunk your smoked chicken in it after it's done. You're going to drizzle it on your crudité vegetables after they come off the grill. You don't want to get it too hot, otherwise it's going to break.
Yeah, man. And
it'll separate.
The whole story with you, Ray, is tell us the first barbecue competition that really impacted you, because I love this. You've got Memphis sauce. You've got an Alabama white sauce. You've really like got this whole barbecue world going.
I basically I was really always interested in smoking meats and barbecue, and one year my wife gifted me a smoker for my birthday, and that like set me off on a path that it was it was a really cool hobby. It was a lot of fun learning how to make the smoked meats and vegetables, but I really got I got my creative juices flowing and into making the sauces and the seasonings. And I started helping a barbecue team out in my area. And we went to do, it was actually in Delaware. It was called the Triple Threat Barbecue Competition at the Delaware State Fairgrounds. And, and the sauces and seasonings were really well received at this competition. And I was instantly hooked on competing. And it was just so much fun. It was like, guys' night out, and you're eating all kinds of really great food and, drinking different types of beer, and just, I don't know, it was just like, it was just really so much fun and so addicting producing all this great food. And, so that was like the first, how it started for competition barbecue. And then I started getting into like more like, okay, now I want to learn the theory behind it. Like, so I went to culinary school and I learned like the theory, like if you could roast the chicken, you could roast any bird type of thing. If you can, sauce making, knife skills. So I love to learn. So I ended up taking a class with Bob Trudnak from Barbecue Guru. And it was a barbecue class. It was like the big meats. It was brisket and pork. And then since then, I've taken various other classes, but I ended up taking a class with Tuffy Stone, who's from the show Barbecue Pitmasters, and Cool Smoke, his Cool Smoke Barbecue class. And you can never learn enough, and you always learn. You learn from everyone. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just how you do it. And so I've just been inspired by so many people in the industry, and including Rufus Teague, including Sweet Baby Ray's. There, I said it. But these are people that have built their companies up, from basically just making sauce out of competition. And it's like, hey, if they can do it, why can't the next person? Just have your product have integrity and use premium ingredients. And just one thing I want to say is having a great recipe is only the beginning. There's so many other factors that really play into a successful local sauce business. And by you putting on this competition and all the judges and all the people and with all these wonderful sauces, I just want to say thank you. I'm humbled to be a part of it and to actually take home the grand prize, because there were so many great sauces in this competition. So thank you.
You're welcome, Ray, and you did a great job. And when you get that big green egg, which should be delivered sometime soon, you're going to post about it, and
oh yeah,
we'll keep giving you love. And last one with Brad. So Rufus Teague, you're getting some love. How much shelf space is there for more sauces? Like, what should the average person? What should my pantry look like?
Oh, get ready. Yeah, no. I mean, first off, I want to say, to Fubs and Ray, I mean, you guys are amazing. I have not tried the Just Add beer yet, but I am sitting here pushing buy on the link right in front of me. So I cannot wait to dive into that stuff. And Ray, I've had the Memphis Mop. That is a fantastic sauce, and you deserve it. So as far as how much shelf space, well, it depends on if you're a nerd like us, because, there's certainly a lot of Rufus Teague in our house, but there's also a lot of everything else. And, I've got like 4 canned goods, and we'll live off barbecue sauce and like 4 cans of beans for the rest of our life if we, get locked in here again. So, it's, I think it's infinite really, because tastes change. And, just like Fubs is saying, you add a different beer to it, you add a little different sauce to, a chicken tender or whatever it might be. It could be something as simple as that. It's completely different, and it's completely fantastic. Or maybe it's not, then that bottle goes in the trash. But I think really, it's such a special place to be within the barbecue sector. It's a hard place to be. Shelf space is tough. John has done such a great job of building distribution for this product, for our product line. And we're very fortunate to be where we are, and especially since it's still just, a couple of people making this stuff. But I don't know. I think barbecue is just so much fun, because just like beer, you can have 100 beers in your refrigerator. It's never enough. Barbecue sauce in the pantry is exactly the same way, in my opinion.
Wow. Last question. The can of Q, it's made with beer, but it's not beer. Do you have to keep it cold in the fridge?
It is recommended that you keep it in the refrigerator after it's open. And other than that, no. I mean, it's just a can of beer or barbecue sauce. So no, it can sit out for quite a while. We're doing real time testing on the shelf life of this, because nobody's ever done it before. So we're up to 18 months, which is great. We keep sending it in to have things checked out. Everything seems fine. So I've had a can sitting out in my garage through the heat and the cold for over 2 years now. And John, I know, he has had one sitting on top of his heater open and for 2 years, and we still check them from time to time. And that's the beauty of barbecue sauce.
So that's how you test it.
that's not how we. I mean, that's our test. That is not. That is not our. That is not the test that we go by.
Okay, I'm going to wrap this up, but yeah. So I came to visit my family, and my mom had died 8 years ago. My wife was going through the refrigerator, and she started seeing all these foods that had expirations date of 2012 on them. So I know that a lot of food lasts a lot longer than the shelf life, but can of Q, or let's say Touch of Heat, or one of your top sauces, how long could I keep it in my fridge? Realistically, I've opened it, I use it enough, but I have 20 other sauces. What's a good guideline?
Technically I'm supposed to say 3 years, but it would be, I don't know. We've had sauces that were, in fact, last year we opened one of the first bottles ever that, and again, it hadn't been open the whole time, but it was, 15-year-old bottle of sauce, and we savored it like a fine wine, and or a really wonderful porter that had been kept, or a Belgian, and I don't know, it was totally fine. It was darker, it was thicker, but it tasted fine. So I don't know. I think 3 to 4 years. If you haven't eaten it by that time, you probably don't need it anymore. That would be my recommendation, but it should still be fine.
Should be blowing off the shelves. Well, you guys have been great. Alyssa, anything else you want to say to wrap it up? Or another question you have before we go?
No, not really. I mean, the expiration thing was a good question because, with all the sauces you sent, that was sent for the competition, I'm like, my fridge is just packed with barbecue sauce right now. So it's good to know how long it's going to last. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah. Well, who knows? How long does Heinz ketchup last? If I open Heinz ketchup, leave it in my fridge, how long can I legally keep it?
That's a good question.
74 years, probably.
That's about right. Forever.
Yeah. Heinz doesn't give. They're like, yeah, you could leave it out. It's fine. They're 100%.
Yeah.
Magic.
It's high fructose. It will be forever and ever.
Wow. Listen, we could talk about. There's a lot of other shows we could do, and I really, really appreciate it. Talk about being humbled. You guys all have put so much into your brands, and adding this Sauce King NYC to our pandemic year really kept a lot of people's spirits up. In fact, we even had a bunch of amateurs doing a Metro NYC version. So it's really covered a lot of bases for us. So I really appreciate your involvement, especially with the judges and the sponsors. And just again, thanks everybody, Ray, Brad, Alyssa, and Fubs for joining me here on Heritage Radio Network. I'm Jimmy Carboni. I'm the host of Beer Sessions Radio. Thanks to our producer, Dylan Hoyer. And engineer will be Matt Patterson. We'll catch you next time on Beer Sessions Radio. All right, guys, everybody. Woo! Beer Sessions Radio is powered by Simplecast. Thanks for listening to Heritage Radio Network, food radio supported by you. For our freshest content, subscribe to our newsletter. Enter your email at the bottom of our website, heritageradionetwork.org. Connect with us on Instagram and Twitter at heritage_radio. You can also find us at facebook.com/Heritage Radio Network. Heritage Radio Network is a nonprofit organization driving conversations to make the world a better, fairer, more delicious place. And we couldn't do it without support from listeners like you. Want to be part of the food world's most innovative community? Subscribe to the shows you like. Tell your friends, and please join the HRN family by becoming a member. Just click on the beating heart at the top right of our homepage. Thanks for listening.
Hey there, I'm Lee Ullman here with some big news from the National Young Farmers Coalition. We're partnering with Heritage Radio Network on a special season of The Farm Report. It's all about what's happening with the Farm Bill and how it impacts farmers and eaters.
I am growing diversified vegetables on land that's been in our family for 150 years.
And so with the pandemic, gentrification, property values going up, we had to sell the land and we lost it.
Join us as we uncover the untold stories behind this massive piece of legislation that shapes how we grow our food, what we eat, and so much more.
The problems we have had, those are things that come from earlier Farm Bill and USDA policy, right? Like Earl Butz, get big or get out.
It's my responsibility to know not only what I'm eating, but then like how that all came to be. And realize like, wow, like this piece of legislation, all this money, like it's technically something that I support as a taxpayer.
While Congress debates the next Farm Bill, this is not just an invitation to listen. It's a call to action. Be part of the conversation. Subscribe to the Farm Report on Heritage Radio Network, wherever you listen to podcasts.